Mission Impossible 2, directed by John Woo, is often considered the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift of the Mission Impossible franchise. It is, of course, starring Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, who's got long hair in this movie. He's got the early 2000s look, the rock theme with the heavy early 2000s guitars, throwing sunglasses at the screen in slow motion, explodes into the title card. If you accept this mission, then I'd love to jump into all of the thoughts regarding Mission Impossible 2, my thoughts, your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get into it. The movie kind of starts out with a fake-out evil Ethan Hunt, which at least seems like he's going to be evil, and that's when it's revealed that it's actually the main villain of the movie, Ambrose. Thandiwe Newton plays Nyah. I hope I didn't mispronounce her name. But she was the love interest in this movie for Ethan Hunt, as well as the love interest for our main villain, kind of creating a love triangle of sorts, which is one of the biggest feelings that you get watching this movie, is that there's this kind of love triangle going on. And even though they're undercover agents, they got to do what's best for their mission, which includes infiltrating the enemy at any means necessary, even giving your comrades up and letting the enemy kind of have their way with one of your comrades who you also have sentimental emotions for, which makes that feel kind of gross. That you're just kind of selling off Nyah, she has to sleep with the bad guy, and it just feels gross. Even though she's slept with the bad guy before, it's an ex-boyfriend, Ethan is sitting there knowing what's happening. At least we didn't have to see it. At least we got the scene of, oh, well, you think I don't want you to do it? Well, you're right. I understand that they addressed all that, but I did think it was a huge moment that stood out in the film for me that just seemed out of place. Yeah, I understand, like, hey, it adds stakes to this evil character, this guy, Ambrose, who's pretty much at this point pretty paper thin, I'd say. It does add a level of malevolence to the character, although, like I said, it's just not something I really care to know about in a Mission Impossible movie. And I don't know if it was me, but all the chase scenes in the cars and the motorcycles really truly felt to me like the Tokyo Drift of this franchise, where you have some awesome new characters thrown in the mix and some awesome action sequences, some cool music by Hans Zimmer and some weird music as well. A completely different tonal shift in direction and creativity, setting, themes, characters, and really comparing this film to the rest of the franchise is a very big misstep in my opinion. It feels like a very different film. They still didn't know what to do with the Mission Impossible franchise. The first film was kind of a reboot, remake of the original TV series, and then the second film was just kind of a John Woo movie. And if you like John Woo, then this movie might work for you a lot better than it did for me, but me personally, this is the first and only John Woo movie I've seen, at least that I am aware of. And it does stand out as a very different Mission Impossible movie. Not all of that is a bad thing. Like I said, I've had some positives. You also have Anthony Hopkins in there in the mix, kind of taking that Kittredge role from the first film. He has some great scenes talking to Ethan in the church, and he is also kind of a dirty little scumbag who's totally okay with Nyah selling herself. There are a few different moments in this movie, and by moments I mean sequences that are 100% slow motion. If you have a problem with Zack Snyder films, I don't think you're going to like this movie very much, because there is a lot of slow motion. And me and my wife were sitting down watching this movie for the first time probably 10, 15 years, and I totally forgot that right in the middle and several times throughout the film, there is just a solid 3-minute action sequence, all in slow motion. Or when you have the two cars, Nyah and Ethan, spinning together in sync and slow-mo for a very, very long time. It is a cool sequence, and Ethan has to do some very resourceful thinking and driving in order to save both of them. And you have him holding her on the edge of whatnot. But I never felt a sense of danger for either character. It just seemed like it was just way out there and just kind of over the top with the action sequences, with some of the stakes in the movie. What is real, what is complete fantasy, what people can do, what human beings are actually capable of doing. just seems like it's kind of thrown out of the window a little bit in this movie. There are several times where characters are outsmarted by each other while wearing the magic face swap masks that we saw in the first film, but they really focused in on a lot more in this second film, which I thought is actually one of the more positive things about this film, was that you never knew who was talking to who, which adds a level of danger and a level of stress every time you're having a conversation about something serious, or watching your characters on screen having a conversation about other characters. You're sitting there wondering, I hope that's not the person that you're actually talking about. But I will say that Ambrose's monologue towards the third act, there's multiple scenes where it cuts back and forth between Ambrose monologuing and Ethan Hunt. And I thought the monologue for Ambrose for several scenes just by himself, kind of staring into the camera or just off of it, was very plain and very boring. And when he wasn't boring, I thought he was kind of over the top. In the third act, there's a decent motorcycle chase at the end, but still feels a little cheesy. There's a fight on the beach for the cure, because this movie deals with the virus. I forgot to mention that, because it was just so forgettable to me. Now, this movie is not bad. It's really not. It's not a terrible movie. But it is one that I have to watch kind of grinning and kind of laughing at the film while I'm watching it in order for me to have as much enjoyment out of it as I do get. But compared to Mission Impossible 1, compared to Mission Impossible 3, and the rest of the films, this easily comes in at last place in the Mission Impossible franchise, at least for me personally. But what are your thoughts on Mission Impossible 2? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Whatever you think, let us know in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like, as it really does help support us. Make sure to come back in the next couple days, as we're going to be continuing to review the Mission Impossible films, followed up by a ranking. We also talk about movie news, movie reviews, which is kind of interesting in the state of the SAG-AFTRA strike, but we'll continue to bring all the content that we possibly can for you during this time. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.